Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lily's English Fluency Podcast. I'm so glad you're here with me today. If you're new to this podcast, I want to tell you that this is your space to learn English naturally, to understand phrases that confuse so many learners, and to speak with confidence in your real life. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode. We upload new content regularly, and each episode focuses on real problems that English learners face every single day. By subscribing, you'll have access to all of our previous episodes as well. Don't forget to check out our podcast playlist for more video lessons like this one. You'll find episodes about phrasal verbs, common mistakes, everyday conversation tips, and so much more. If you enjoy this episode, please give it a like and share it with a friend who's learning English. Your support helps us create better content for you. Now, let's dive into today's lesson. Today, we're talking about two English phrases that look almost identical but mean completely different things. These phrases are on time and in time. You might think they're the same, but they're not. And honestly, this is one of the most confusing topics for English learners around the world. I get messages all the time from people asking me about this exact question. Why do people use one phrase in one situation and another phrase in a different situation? What's the actual difference? Can I use them interchangeably? The answer is no, you really can't. So let's break this down together and make it simple and clear. Imagine a scenario with me. Let's say you have a very important job interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your dream job. You've been preparing for weeks. The interview is scheduled for exactly 10 o'clock in the morning. You wake up early, you get ready, you drive carefully through traffic, and you arrive at the building at exactly 10 a.m. You walk into the office, you check in at the reception desk, and the interviewer smiles at you and says, "Great, you're right on time." What does that mean? It means you arrived at the moment when you were supposed to arrive. You were on time. You were punctual. You didn't keep the interviewer waiting, and the interview could start exactly as planned. But now, let's imagine a different scenario. This time, you're at the train station. You're running to catch a train because you're meeting a friend on the other side of the city. The train is already boarding. You can see people walking up the steps. The doors are starting to close. Your heart is beating fast. You run as hard as you can. Wow, you got here in time. I thought you were going to miss the train. What does that mean? It means you arrived early enough to catch the train before it left. You made it. You didn't miss it. That's in time. So now you can see the difference, right? In the first scenario, you arrived on time because you arrived at the correct scheduled time. In the second scenario, you got in time because you got there before it was too late. You achieved a result. You got what you wanted. You caught the train. The timing worked out in your favor. Let me explain the first rule to you. Rule number 1 is very simple. Use on time when something happens at the correct scheduled time or the expected time. When you think about on time, think about the clock. Think about the schedule. Think about what was planned. If you were supposed to be somewhere at a specific time and you arrive at that time, you're on time. It's that simple. Let me give you more examples. Your school starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. You arrive at 8 o'clock. What do you say? You say, "I arrived on time." Or maybe your class starts at 8 and you arrive at 8:03. Did you arrive on time? No, you didn't. You arrived late. You were not on time. Let's try another example. Your meeting starts at 2:30 p.m. You join the video call at exactly 2:30 p.m. Everyone else is there waiting for you. Did you arrive on time? Yes, you did. You joined the meeting on time. The meeting could start as planned. So on time is really about the schedule. It's about the clock. It's about whether you met the expected time or not. Now, let me give you rule number 2. This is equally important. Use in time when something happens early enough before a deadline, a problem, or an important moment. When you use in time, you're talking about being early enough so that something doesn't go wrong. You're talking about the result. You're talking about avoiding being too late. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're going to watch a movie at the cinema. The movie starts at 7 p.m. You arrive at the cinema at 6:55 p.m. You go through the line to buy tickets. You walk into the theater. You sit down in your seat at 6:58 p.m., just as the opening credits start. Did you arrive in time to watch the beginning of the movie? Yes, you did. You arrived early enough before the movie started. You didn't miss anything important. That's in time. Here's another example. You're running late from work. You promised your friend you would pick her up from the train station by 6:30 p.m. You know that if you don't pick her up by then, she'll get worried or she'll try to find another ride home. You're driving through the city and you arrive at the train station at 6:28 p.m. Your friend is still waiting for you. You made it. You arrived in time to pick her up before she left. That's in time. You got there before the situation became a problem. Let me explain the difference between these two rules one more time because it's important. On time is about the schedule. It's about being punctual. It's about arriving at the time you were supposed to arrive. In time is about the result. It's about getting somewhere early enough to accomplish something or early enough to prevent something bad from happening. Now here's something interesting. Sometimes both phrases can be used in the same sentence, but the meaning changes a little. For example, let's say you have a homework assignment due on Friday at 11:59 p.m. You submit your homework on Friday at 11:50 p.m. You could say, I submitted my homework on time. That means you submitted it by the deadline. You didn't miss the deadline. You were not late. But you could also say, I submitted my homework in time. That sentence means you submitted it early enough before the deadline closed. Both sentences are correct, but they feel a little different. The first one focuses on meeting the deadline. The second one focuses on the relief of getting it done before it was too late. Let me give you another example to make this even clearer. The bus is supposed to arrive at your bus stop at 8 a.m. Today, you check the bus schedule, and sure enough, the bus arrives at exactly 8 a.m. You can say, the bus arrived on time. That means the bus arrived at its scheduled time. It was punctual. But now let's say you're standing at the bus stop and you're worried that you might miss your bus because you woke up late. You run down the stairs, you hurry to the bus stop, and you arrive at 7:58 a.m. The bus is just pulling up at 8 a.m. Your timing was perfect. You didn't miss the bus. You can say, I got to the bus stop in time to catch the bus. Both sentences are about the same event, but they focus on different things. Let me introduce a third phrase now, just in time. This phrase means at the very last moment, right before something happens, but still early enough to avoid disaster. It's dramatic. It has emotion. It suggests that things were very close. For example, I got to the train station just in time. The train was about to leave. I was literally about to miss it, but I made it. That's just in time. Or maybe you're working on a project and the deadline is tomorrow at 9 a.m. You finished the project at 8:50 a.m., just 10 minutes before the deadline. You finished just in time. Your heart might be beating fast, but you made it. Now I want to give you a simple framework to remember when to use each phrase. This framework will help you quickly decide which phrase is right in any situation. Here's the framework. First, use on time for appointments, schedules, classes, meetings, flights, buses, trains, work, and deadlines. These are all situations with a specific scheduled time. Let me give you example sentences. My flight left on time. I was worried that there would be a delay, but my flight left exactly at 3 p.m. as scheduled. The class started on time. The teacher came in at 8 a.m. and we began the lesson right away. I got to work on time. I arrived at the office at 9 a.m. and I was ready to start working. I paid the bill on time. The payment was due on the 15th of the month, and I paid it on the 15th. The doctor's appointment was on time. I had a meeting with my doctor at 2 p.m., and we started at 2 p.m. Second, use in time with the pattern in time to plus a verb. This is very common in English. Let me give you examples. In time to catch the train, in time to say goodbye, in time to finish dinner, in time to stop the mistake, in time to celebrate, in time to help, in time to join the party, in time to hear the announcement. The pattern is very straightforward. You're saying that you got somewhere or something happened early enough so that you could do a particular action. Let me give you full sentences with this pattern. I woke up in time to take a shower before work. I woke up at 6:30 a.m. and I had enough time to shower, get dressed, and eat breakfast before I left for work at 8 a.m. I arrived at the airport in time to check in and pass through security. I was worried that I might miss my flight, but I arrived early enough to get through everything I needed to do. I got home in time to cook dinner before my family arrived. I finished work at 5 p.m., I drove home, and I had time to make a nice dinner before everyone came home at 6:30 p.m. Third, use just in time when something happens at the very last moment but still works out okay. This phrase has drama and emotion. I got to the station just in time. The train was about to leave, and I jumped inside literally seconds before the doors closed. I finished the report just in time. My boss needed the report at 5 p.m., and I completed it at 4:58 p.m., just in time. I called the doctor just in time. I realized I had a problem with my health. I called the doctor immediately, and they could see me that same day before the situation got worse. Now, let me give you some common mistakes that I hear from many learners. These are mistakes that happen all the time, and I want you to avoid them. Common mistake number 1, learners say in time when they really mean not late or punctual. For example, someone might say, I came in time to work. That sounds wrong. The correct sentence is, I got to work on time. Or even more naturally, I got to work on time. The learner is talking about arriving at the scheduled time, not about getting there early enough to do something. So the phrase should be on time, not in time. Common mistake number 2, learners say on time when they mean before it was too late or just barely made it. For example, someone might say, I arrived on time to catch the bus. That's close, but it's not quite right. The more natural way to say it is, I arrived in time to catch the bus. The learner is focusing on the action they were able to do, catch the bus, because they got there early enough. So the phrase should be in time, not on time. Common mistake number 3, learners sometimes use in time for events with specific schedules. For example, someone might say, the concert started in time. That sounds a little unnatural if you mean the concert started at the scheduled time. Common mistake number 3, learners sometimes use in time for events with specific schedules. For example, someone might say, the concert started in time. That sounds a little unnatural if you mean the concert started at the scheduled time. Let me teach you another useful phrase, right on time. This phrase means exactly at the right time, or sometimes it suggests perfect timing. It has a positive, satisfied feeling. For example, the food came right on time. I was hungry, and the delivery arrived exactly when I needed it. Your friend arrives right on time for the party. You were worried she might be late, but she's there exactly at 8 p.m. when the party starts. Right on time has a sense of things working out perfectly. Now, let me compare just in time and right on time because they can seem similar, but they feel different. Right on time suggests that everything is planned and perfect. It feels smooth and organized. Just in time suggests that things were very close. It has a sense of relief or excitement. Things almost didn't work out, but they did. For example, I got to the doctor just in time. The doctor's office was about to close, and I arrived just before closing time. But I would say the doctor saw me right on time. The appointment happened at the scheduled time. Now I want to move into more real conversation practice. This is where you start to feel comfortable using these phrases naturally without thinking too much. Let me give you some situations and show you how these phrases sound in actual conversations. Situation 1. You're meeting a friend for lunch at a restaurant. You both agreed to meet at 12 p.m. You arrive at the restaurant at 11:55 a.m. and your friend arrives at 12 p.m. Your friend arrives on time. The conversation might go like this. Hey, thanks for being on time. I hate waiting around. Your friend is appreciating that you were punctual. You both arrived when you said you would arrive. Situation 2. You're planning to watch a movie with your family. The movie starts at 7 p.m. You want to get there early to find good seats and maybe buy snacks. You arrive at 6:30 p.m. The movie starts at 7 p.m. and you find seats at 6:50 p.m. You got there in time to find good seats. You arrived early enough before the movie started so that you could accomplish what you wanted. The conversation might go like this. We got there in time to get the best seats in the middle. Perfect. Situation 3. You're working on a project at work. Your manager needs the project finished by 5 p.m. today. It's currently 4:30 p.m. and you finish the project at 4:55 p.m. You tell your manager, I finished the project on time. You met the deadline. You didn't miss the time limit. Your manager might respond, Great. Did you have time to check your work? You could say, Yes, I finished in time to review everything. I think it's good quality. You finished early enough so that you could do an additional task. Situation 4. You're taking a train to another city. The train leaves at 3 p.m. You arrive at the train station at 2:55 p.m. The train leaves on time at 3 p.m. And you're on the train. You made it. You got on the train in time. The conversation might sound like this. I got to the station in time to board the train. That means you arrived before the train left. Let me give you some real workplace examples because many learners ask me about this. Example 1. Your boss sends you a message. Can you send me the presentation before the team meeting? The meeting is at 10 a.m. It's currently 9:30 a.m. You work quickly and you send the presentation at 9:45 a.m. What do you say? You could say, I sent it in time for you to review before the meeting. You sent it early enough so that your boss had time to look at it before the meeting started. Or you could say, I sent it on time if the deadline was 10 a.m. But in time sounds more natural here because you're focusing on the result, your boss being able to review it. Example 2. You have a project deadline on Friday at 5 p.m. You work all week and you complete the project on Friday at 4:30 p.m. You upload it to the system. Did you submit it on time? Yes, you did. You submitted it before the 5 p.m. deadline. Did you submit it in time? Well, that depends. If your manager needed time to review it before giving it to a client, and the client doesn't need it until Monday, then yes, you submitted it in time for your manager to review it. But if the client needed it on Friday night, you might have submitted it just in time. The timing was very close. Example 3. You get an email about a meeting that was scheduled for tomorrow at 9 a.m., but it's been rescheduled to today at 3 p.m. You get the email at 2:30 p.m. You call your colleague to make sure they know. Your colleague says, "Thanks for calling me just in time. I almost missed the rescheduled meeting." Your colleague is grateful that you told them just before the meeting was about to start. Let me give you some daily life examples. Example 1. You're making dinner for your family. You want to serve dinner at 6 p.m. You start cooking at 5 p.m. By 5:50 p.m., the food is almost ready. At 5:55 p.m., everything is done. You serve dinner at 6 p.m., right on time. Your family sits down and eats. The meal is warm and everything tastes good because the timing was perfect. Example 2. You're taking your car to the mechanic. The mechanic said, "Bring your car in for an oil change. If you don't change the oil soon, your engine might have problems." You were busy, but you finally brought your car in this week. The mechanic says, "Good, you came in time. Your oil level was getting very low. You came early enough before a problem happened." Example 3. You're at home and you're watching the time. Your friend is coming to visit, and they usually arrive around 3 p.m. You want to finish cleaning before they get there. It's 2:30 p.m., and you're still cleaning, but you finish at 2:50 p.m. Your friend arrives at 3 p.m. When your friend walks in, the house looks great. You can say, "I got the house clean in time for your visit." You finished before your friend arrived. Let me teach you something about the feeling and nuance of these words. This is important because grammar isn't just about right and wrong. It's also about how words make people feel. On time has a neutral, matter-of-fact feeling. It's just stating that something happened at the scheduled time. It doesn't have much emotion. When you say, "I got to work on time," it's simply saying you weren't late. There's no emotion attached. It's just information. But when you say, "I got to work on time as usual," there's a sense of reliability and responsibility. In time has a feeling of relief and success. It suggests that there was some concern or pressure, but things worked out. When you say, "I got there in time," there's an implied sense that you were worried you might miss something, but you made it. It has a more positive, triumphant feeling. Just in time has a feeling of excitement, relief, and sometimes stress. It suggests that things were extremely close. You almost didn't make it, but you did. This phrase is often used in action movies or dramatic situations. When someone says, "I got there just in time," you can imagine them running, their heart beating fast, and then finally making it. Now, let me talk about something that many learners ask me. If I'm a little early, can I say I'm on time? Yes, absolutely. If you have an appointment at 10 a.m. and you arrive at 9:50 a.m., you are on time. You're not late, so you're on time. Being early doesn't make you late. But if you arrive very, very early, like arriving at 7 a.m., for a 10 a.m. appointment, that's different. That's very early. You could say you're way too early or incredibly early, but you're still on time, meaning not late. You're just extra early. But here's an important distinction. On time can include a little early. But if you arrive late, you are not on time. You are late. There's no gray area there. If the appointment is at 10 a.m. and you arrive at 10:01 a.m., you were late. You were not on time. Now I want to talk about the word punctual. Punctual means doing things at the correct time. If someone is always on time, if someone is never late, if someone always arrives exactly when they say they will, that person is punctual. That person is very punctual. It's a positive quality. Being punctual means people can trust you. You do what you say you're going to do, and you do it when you say you'll do it. Let me give you some other time-related phrases that go along with on time and in time. Ahead of time means early. If you submit your assignment ahead of time, you submitted it before the deadline. Early has a similar meaning. You arrived early means you arrived before you were supposed to arrive. In advance also means ahead of the scheduled time. You booked the hotel in advance. You made the reservation early before you actually needed the hotel. At the last minute means very close to the deadline or the time something is supposed to happen. You bought the gift at the last minute. You bought it right before you needed to give it to someone. Behind schedule means late. You're running behind schedule means you're moving slower than planned and you might be late. Now let me teach you how to handle situations when things don't work out perfectly. If you're running late, what do you say? You say, I'm running late, or I'm going to be late. You don't say, I'm in time, because you're not going to make it on time. If you're going to arrive after the scheduled time, you're going to be late. How do you apologize? You say, sorry I'm late, or I apologize for being late. This is a simple, direct way to acknowledge the situation. What if you're worried you might be late? You can say, I might be a little late, or I'm going to try to be on time, but I might be delayed. This gives the other person a heads up. What if you just barely made it? You say, I just made it, or I got there just in time, or I barely made it. These all communicate that you arrived at the very last moment. Now I'm going to give you some practice exercises. For each situation, I'll describe what's happening, and I want you to think about whether you would use on time, in time, or just in time. Practice situation 1. Your doctor's appointment is at 3 p.m. You arrive at the doctor's office at 2:58 p.m. The receptionist calls you, and you go into the examination room at 3 p.m. How would you describe this? You arrived on time. The appointment was scheduled for 3 p.m., and you were there at 3 p.m. It was exactly on time. Practice situation 2. Your friend is leaving for the airport. Her flight leaves at 10 a.m., she's packing at 8:30 a.m., and suddenly she realizes she can't find her passport. She calls you in a panic. You rush to her house, you help her search, and you find it in a drawer at 9:15 a.m. She still has time to get to the airport. Would you say you got there on time or in time? You got there in time. You arrived early enough before a crisis happened. You prevented a big problem. Practice situation 3. You're taking an exam at school. The exam starts at 10 a.m. You arrive in the classroom at 9:55 a.m. The exam starts at 10 a.m. and you take the exam. Were you on time? Yes, you were on time. You were there at the scheduled time. Were you in time? Yes, you were also in time because you were early enough to sit down and be ready before the exam started. Practice situation 4. You need to submit an assignment by Friday at 11:59 p.m. You work all week and you finish the assignment on Friday evening. You submit it at 11:58 p.m. What would you say? You submitted it on time. You met the deadline. You could also say you submitted it just in time. You submitted it only 1 minute before the deadline. Both phrases work, but just in time emphasizes how close you were to missing the deadline. Practice situation 5. You're planning a surprise party for your friend. The party starts at 7 p.m., and you want to decorate the house before people arrive. You start decorating at 5 p.m. and you finish at 6:30 p.m. When your friend arrives at 7 p.m., everything is decorated beautifully. Did you get the decorations done on time? Well, it depends on when you said you would have them done, but you got the decorations done in time for the party. You finished before the party started. Practice situation 6. You're working on a presentation that your boss needs for a big client meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. You work late into the evening and you finally finish the presentation at 11 p.m. Your boss sees the finished presentation and says, "Great! You finished just in time. I can review this tonight and we'll be ready for the client meeting tomorrow." You finished just in time. You finished at the very last moment, but early enough so your boss could do what they needed to do. Let me give you a mini quiz now. I'll say a sentence with a blank space, and I want you to think about what word or phrase should go in that blank. Mini quiz. Question 1. The meeting starts at 2 p.m., so please arrive blank. Would you say on time or in time? The answer is on time. You're talking about arriving at the scheduled time. So you would say, the meeting starts at 2 p.m., so please arrive on time. Mini quiz. Question 2. We ran very fast and got to the airport blank to catch our flight. The answer is in time. You're focusing on the action you were able to do, catch the flight, because you got there early enough. So you would say, we ran very fast and got to the airport in time to catch our flight. Mini quiz. Question 3. My package arrived blank. The delivery company said it would arrive on Tuesday, and it arrived on Tuesday. The answer is on time. The package arrived at the scheduled time. So you would say, my package arrived on time. Mini quiz. Question 4. I called my doctor blank. I had a problem, and I called early before the problem got worse. The doctor had time to see me and help me. The answer is in time. You called early enough before a situation got worse. So you would say, I called my doctor in time, and they were able to help me. Mini quiz. Question 5. The train usually leaves blank. The train has a scheduled departure time. The answer is on time. So you would say, the train usually leaves on time, but sometimes there are delays. Mini quiz. Question 6. I finished my homework blank. The homework was due at 5 p.m. and I finished at 4:50 p.m. The answer could be either on time or just in time, depending on what you want to emphasize. If you want to say you met the deadline, say, I finished my homework on time. If you want to emphasize how close you were to the deadline, say, I finished my homework just in time. Now let me give you some very important patterns that you should practice and remember. Pattern 1. On time for noun. On time for work. On time for class. On time for the meeting. On time for the appointment. On time for the interview. On time for the flight. On time for the wedding. These all use the pattern on time for plus a noun describing an event or activity that has a schedule. Pattern 2. In time to verb. In time to catch the bus. In time to see the movie. In time to finish dinner. In time to hear the beginning. In time to join the party. In time to say goodbye. In time to help. In time to stop the mistake. This pattern means you got somewhere or something happened early enough so that you could do a particular action. Pattern 3. Just in time. I got there just in time. We finished just in time. You called just in time. This phrase stands alone and suggests that things were very close. You almost didn't make it, but you did. Now let me give you some very common phrases and sentences that you can use in real life. Sentence 1. Thanks for being on time. I really appreciate it. You're thanking someone for being punctual. You're expressing that you value their reliability. Sentence 2. I hate being late. I always try to be on time. Sentence 3. I'm running late. I'll be there in about 10 minutes. You're letting someone know that you're delayed, but you're on your way. Sentence 4. I got there just in time. The meeting was about to start. You're saying that you arrived at the very last moment before the meeting began. Sentence 5. We arrived in time for lunch. The restaurant was still serving. You're saying that you got there before lunch service ended. Sentence 6. I need you to finish this project on time. The deadline is Friday. Sentence 7. Did you make it to the party in time? Sentence 8. I finished the report just in time. My boss needed it by 5 p.m., and I submitted it at 4:58 p.m. You're sharing that you completed a task at the very last moment before the deadline. Sentence 9. The train left on time today. No delays. You're noting that the train followed its schedule. Sentence 10. I woke up in time to catch the sunrise. You're saying that you woke up early enough to experience something beautiful. Now I want to address some of the most common mistakes that I hear from English learners. These are mistakes that happen so frequently that I've decided to dedicate a section to them. Mistake number 1. Many learners say, I came in time to work. This is incorrect. The correct sentence is, I got to work on time, or I arrived at work on time. The learner is trying to say that they arrived at the scheduled time, not late, but they're using in time instead of on time. Remember, on time is for the schedule, and in time is for getting somewhere early enough to do something. Mistake number 2. Learners say, I arrived on time to catch the bus. This is not quite right. The more natural way to say it is, I arrived in time to catch the bus. The learner is focusing on the action they were able to do, catch the bus. So in time is the correct choice. You arrived early enough so that you could catch the bus. Mistake number 3. Learners say, the meeting started in time. This sounds a little unnatural if you mean the meeting started at the scheduled time. The correct sentence is, the meeting started on time. The meeting has a scheduled start time, so we use on time. However, you could say, we got to the meeting in time to hear the first announcement because you're talking about the action you were able to perform. Mistake number 4. Learners sometimes say, I'm in time for the party. This is incorrect. You would say, I'm on time for the party if you're arriving at the expected time. Or, I made it in time for the party if you're arriving early enough to attend. The phrase, I'm in time doesn't work as a complete thought. Mistake number 5. Learners say, I finished in time. This is incomplete and unclear. You need to say what the in time applies to. I finished in time for the meeting. Or, I finished in time to review my work. Or, I finished just in time. But just, I finished in time by itself is vague. Mistake number 6. Some learners use on time to mean finally or at last. For example, I finally got my promotion on time. This is incorrect. On time doesn't mean finally. You could say, I finally got my promotion, or I got my promotion right on time, meaning the timing was perfect. Mistake number 7. Learners sometimes confuse in time with in no time. In no time means very quickly. I finished the project in no time means you finished the project very quickly. But I finished the project in time means you finished it early enough before the deadline. These are different expressions. Now let me show you the corrections for some of these mistakes with a before and after format. Before, I came in time to work. After, I got to work on time. The first sentence is incorrect. The second sentence is correct. Before, I arrived on time to catch the bus. After, I arrived in time to catch the bus. The first sentence is incorrect because on time refers to the schedule, not to doing an action. The second sentence is correct. Before, the class started in time. After, the class started on time. The first sentence sounds unnatural. The second sentence is correct. Before, I'm in time for the party. After, I'm on time for the party, or I made it in time for the party. The first sentence is incomplete or unclear. The second and third options are correct and clear. Before, I finished in time. After, I finished just in time, or I finished in time for the deadline. Before, I finally got my job on time. Now let me give you some more advanced understanding about these phrases. This will help you become even more proficient in English. The difference between on time and in time is really about perspective and focus. On time is objective. It's about a clock and a schedule. You either were at a place at the scheduled time or you weren't. In time is subjective. It's about a result or a goal. You got somewhere early enough to accomplish something. Let me give you an example. Imagine you have a flight at 2 p.m. You arrive at the airport at 1:30 p.m. You have time to check in, go through security, and get to your gate. In this case, you arrived at the airport on time. You were there at a reasonable time before your flight. You also arrived in time to check in and go through security. Both statements are true. But imagine a different scenario. You arrive at the airport at 1:45 p.m. Now there's a long security line. You wait, and by the time you get through security, it's 1:55 p.m. Your flight leaves at 2 p.m. In this scenario, you arrived at the airport on time. You were there early enough to reasonably expect to make the flight. But it's now questionable whether you arrived in time. You might miss your flight because of the security line. Did you arrive in time? Not really, because the result didn't happen. This illustrates a very important concept. You can arrive on time, but not in time for something. You can arrive at the right time, but events beyond your control might prevent you from accomplishing what you wanted. Here's another advanced concept. The phrase in time can refer to different deadlines or events. For example, I got home in time for dinner. This means you got home before dinner was over. But in time for dinner could mean different things in different families. In some families, dinner is at 6 p.m. In another family, dinner is whenever everyone gets home. So the concept of in time is relative to the specific situation. Similarly, just in time is relative. What's just in time for one person might be early for another person. If your deadline is 5 p.m. and you submit something at 4:55 p.m., you submitted it just in time. But if your deadline was 4 p.m. and you submitted at 4:55 p.m., you're late. Now let me teach you about the phrase right on time versus just in time more deeply. I mentioned this before, but let me expand on it. Right on time suggests that everything happened exactly as planned. It feels smooth and organized. The timing was perfect. It's almost like the universe was cooperating with your plans. You often hear right on time used when something happens at exactly the right moment. The food came right on time. The movie started right on time. Your friend arrived right on time. There's satisfaction in these sentences. Just in time suggests that things were close. There was urgency or risk, but it worked out. You were worried you might miss something, but you made it. Just in time often has a feeling of relief. I made it just in time. We got there just in time. You called just in time. These sentences suggest that if you had been even a minute later, things might not have worked out. Now, let me teach you about using these phrases in different tenses. Present tense. I am on time. I arrive in time. I get there just in time. Past tense. I was on time. I arrived in time. I got there just in time. Future tense. I will be on time. I will arrive in time. I will get there just in time. Present progressive. I am arriving on time. I am getting there in time. Past progressive. I was arriving on time. I was getting there in time. All of these tenses work with on time, in time, and just in time. Let me give you some other related expressions that might be useful. Ahead of schedule means earlier than planned. The project finished ahead of schedule. The meeting started ahead of schedule. Behind schedule means later than planned. The project is behind schedule. We're running behind schedule. On schedule means right on time, as planned. Everything is on schedule. We're on schedule so far. Ahead of time means early, before the expected time. I prepared for the meeting ahead of time. You submitted the assignment ahead of time. At the nick of time is similar to just in time, but more dramatic. We arrived at the nick of time. The phrase suggests you made it by the absolute smallest margin. At the 11th hour means at the very last moment. He made a decision at the 11th hour. This phrase suggests you waited until almost the last possible moment. Under the wire means just barely making it before a deadline. I got my application in under the wire. This phrase is often used with deadlines. Now, let me give you some thoughts about English learning and these specific phrases. Learning English isn't just about memorizing rules. It's about understanding the meaning and the feeling behind the words. When you truly understand that on time is about schedules and in time is about results, you can use these phrases confidently in any situation. Now I want to give you some real conversations that you might have in actual situations. I'm going to present both sides of the conversation to show you how natural speakers use these phrases. Conversation 1. A student talking to their teacher. Student: Did I hand in my essay on time? Teacher: Yes, you did. It was due today, and you submitted it this morning. You were right on time. Student: Great. I was worried I might miss the deadline because I was working on it until late last night. Teacher: Well, you finished just in time. Another hour or two late, and you would have been late. In this conversation, the student uses on time to ask if they met the deadline. The teacher uses right on time to confirm that they submitted it at the expected time. Then the student mentions they were working until late, and the teacher uses just in time to emphasize how close they were to being late. Conversation 2. A friend meeting a friend at a restaurant. A friend meeting a friend at a restaurant. Friend 1. Thanks for being on time. I hate waiting at restaurants. Friend 2. I left work exactly at 5 p.m. to make sure I would get here on time. I left work exactly at 5 p.m. to make sure I would get here on time. Friend 1. Well, it worked. We can be seated right away. Oh, look, they have a table for us now. Friend 2. Perfect. We got here in time to get a good table before the dinner rush starts. In this conversation, friend 1 appreciates friend 2 being on time. Friend 2 explains their effort to be punctual. Then they note that they arrived in time to get a good table before it gets busy. Conversation 3. A work conversation. Boss, did you finish the project? Employee.
Yes, I just submitted it.
Boss. When? The deadline was 4 p.m. Employee. I submitted it at 3:55 p.m. I finished just in time. Boss. Good. That means I have time to review it before the client meeting tomorrow. You got it to me in time for me to check your work. In this conversation, the employee emphasizes that they submitted the project at the very last moment before the deadline. The boss then notes that they received it in time to do another task before the next day. Conversation 4. Family situation. Parent. What time does the movie start? Child. 7 p.m. Parent. We need to leave at 6:30 p.m. to get there on time and find parking. Child. Can we leave at 6:15 p.m.? That's cutting it close. If we leave at 6:15 p.m., we might not get there on time. Let's leave at 6:20 p.m. to give ourselves a buffer. That's cutting it close. If we leave at 6:15 p.m., we might not get there on time. Let's leave at 6:20 p.m. to give ourselves a buffer. Child. Okay, I'll be ready at 6:20 p.m. In this conversation, the parent discusses the time needed to arrive on time for the movie. They explain the importance of leaving early enough to avoid being late. Conversation 5. A phone call. Rajesh says, "Are you coming to the party tonight?" Amirtha says, "I'm not sure. I have a work meeting that might run late." Rajesh says, "The party starts at 8 p.m. Try to get here on time if you can." Amirtha says, "If my meeting ends early, I'll get there in time to eat dinner with everyone." Rajesh says, "Okay, let me know as soon as you know." In this conversation, person A mentions that the party starts at a specific time and hopes person B will be there on time. Person B expresses hope that they can get there in time to participate in a specific activity, eating dinner. Conversation 6. A doctor's office. Receptionist. We have an appointment available tomorrow at 2 p.m. Patient. That works for me. Should I arrive a few minutes early? Receptionist. Yes, please come about 10 minutes early so you have time to fill out forms. We ask patients to arrive on time. Patient. I'll be there at 1:50 p.m. Receptionist. Perfect. That should give you plenty of time to check in before your appointment. In this conversation, the receptionist asks the patient to arrive on time, but also a bit early to fill out forms. The patient confirms they will arrive at 1:50 p.m., which is early enough for them to check in before the 2 p.m. appointment. Conversation 7. A travel situation. Friend 1. Did you make it on the flight? Friend 2. Yes, I got to the airport in time to check in and go through security. The security line was shorter than I expected. Friend 1. Good. I was worried you might miss it. Friend 2. I was close. I got to the gate just in time. They were calling the last boarding group when I arrived. Friend 1. That was really close. Friend 2. I know. I'm not doing that again. In this conversation, friend 2 describes their experience of getting to the airport in time to check in, getting through security, and boarding the flight. They emphasize how close they were by saying they arrived at the gate just in time. Let me now share some deeper insights about why these phrases matter and how they're used in different contexts. In formal situations like business or professional settings, on time is very important. Being on time is a sign of respect and professionalism. When someone says, "I expect you to be on time," they're setting a professional standard. It means you should arrive at the scheduled time, not late. In formal situations, on time is used much more frequently than in time. In casual situations like meeting friends or family, both on time and in time are used, but with different emphasis. On time suggests you were punctual and reliable. In time suggests you made it in time to do something together. In stressful situations like catching a flight or meeting a deadline, just in time is used more frequently. People use this phrase to express relief that they barely made it. "I made it just in time" is often said with a sense of relief and sometimes a laugh. Now let me talk about the psychology of these phrases. When you say you're on time, you're meeting expectations. You're doing what you said you would do. People appreciate reliability. But when you say you arrived in time, you're emphasizing results. You're saying that you not only showed up at the right time, but you also accomplished what you needed to accomplish. Just in time has a psychological element of drama. It suggests that things were uncertain and you're relieved that it worked out. This phrase often gets a reaction from people because of the implied drama. Now, let me give you some tips for using these phrases correctly in real situations. Tip 1. Think about the focus. Are you talking about a schedule, or are you talking about accomplishing a goal? If it's a schedule, use on time. If it's a goal, use in time. Tip 2. Think about the deadline or event. Is there a specific time something is supposed to happen? Then think about on time. Is there something you wanted to accomplish? Then think about in time. Tip 3. If you're not sure, use the pattern in time to do something. This pattern is very safe and very commonly used. I got there in time to catch the bus. I arrived in time to have breakfast. These patterns are always correct. Tip 4. Remember that just in time is more dramatic. Use it when you want to emphasize that things were very close or that you were relieved to make it. Tip 5. Practice saying these phrases out loud. The more you hear yourself say them, and the more you hear them in conversations, the more natural they'll become. Now, let me address a question that many learners ask me. Can you say, "I was on time, in time"? No, you cannot combine these two phrases in that way. You would either say, "I was on time," or "I got there in time," but not both together in that phrase structure. Another question. What if you don't know when something is supposed to happen? For example, what time should I arrive? In this case, you might ask, what time should I be on time? Which sounds a little odd. It's more natural to ask, what time should I arrive? Or what time do you need me there? Another question, can you use in time with a noun directly? For example, I got there in time for the flight. Yes, absolutely. The pattern in time for noun is common and correct. In time for the party, in time for lunch, in time for the announcement. Now, let me give you one final important point. English is a living language, and native speakers sometimes use these phrases in ways that might not follow the strict rules I've taught you. For example, some native speakers might say, "I got to the meeting on time to hear the announcement," when technically, in time would be more correct. But because these phrases are so similar, people sometimes use them interchangeably, even though the technically correct usage is slightly different. However, as an English learner, I recommend that you learn the correct usage first. Once you know the correct usage, you can notice variations and understand them, but it's best to start with the standard, correct usage. Now that we've gone through all of this material, let me give you a final summary of everything we've learned. On time means arriving at or doing something at the scheduled or expected time. It focuses on punctuality and meeting expectations. You use on time for appointments, classes, meetings, flights, buses, work, bills, and anything with a specific scheduled time. Examples: I got to work on time. The flight left on time. I paid my bill on time. In time means arriving or doing something early enough before a deadline or event. It focuses on the result and not missing something important. You use in time when you want to emphasize that you got somewhere early enough to accomplish something or to avoid a problem. The pattern is often in time to do something. Examples: I arrived in time to catch the bus. I got home in time for dinner. I finished in time to review my work. Just in time means at the very last moment, but still early enough. It has a sense of drama, relief, and excitement. It suggests that things were very close. You almost didn't make it, but you did. Examples: I got there just in time. We finished just in time. You called just in time. Right on time means exactly at the right time with perfect timing. It suggests that everything happened smoothly and as planned. Examples: the food came right on time. You arrived right on time. Everything started right on time. These 4 phrases cover most of the common time-related expressions in English. By understanding the differences between them, you can speak English more naturally and more accurately. Now let me give you some final tips for learning and practicing these phrases. Tip 1. Pay attention to how native speakers use these phrases. Listen to English podcasts, watch English movies and TV shows, and listen to how people use these phrases in context. The more you hear them, the more natural they'll become to you. Tip 2. Practice using these phrases in your own sentences. Don't just read about them or memorize them. Actually use them. Speak them out loud. Write them in emails or messages. The more you use them, the more confident you'll become. Tip 3. Don't worry about making mistakes. Making mistakes is part of the learning process. Every mistake you make teaches you something. Native speakers will understand you, even if you use the wrong phrase in a sentence, and they might even gently correct you. Tip 4. Remember that English isn't always perfectly logical. There are rules, but there are also exceptions. The best way to learn English is to understand the general rules, but also to be aware that native speakers sometimes use language in creative ways. Tip 5. Be patient with yourself. Learning English takes time, and mastering specific phrases like these takes practice and repetition. Don't expect to be perfect after one lesson. Come back to this lesson multiple times. Practice these phrases in different situations. Over time, using them correctly will become automatic. Now, I want to emphasize something important. The goal of learning English isn't to speak like a robot. The goal is to communicate effectively and naturally. When you understand the meaning behind words and phrases, you can use them in ways that make sense in your specific situation. These phrases about time are used constantly in English, in both formal and casual situations. Mastering them will make a big difference in how naturally you speak. Let me now take you through some real-life scenarios where you might use these phrases. I want to make this as practical as possible. Scenario 1. A job interview. You have a job interview tomorrow at 9 a.m. You set your alarm to wake up at 6:30 a.m. You get ready, have breakfast, and leave your house at 8 a.m. You arrive at the office at 8:45 a.m. The receptionist greets you and says, "Welcome, please have a seat." The interview will start at 9 a.m. You sit down and relax. You got there on time. You arrived early enough. Arriving at 8:45 for a 9 o'clock interview is good timing. When the interviewer calls you in at 9 a.m. sharp, you go in. The interviewer says, "Great, let's start. You're right on time." This is a positive comment about your punctuality. Later, after the interview, you might think about how the interview went. You might tell your friend, The interview started on time at 9 a.m., and I got to share all my experience and answer all their questions. I got there early enough in time to feel calm and prepared. Scenario 2. A school situation. You have a test in your English class on Wednesday. The test starts at 2 p.m. You want to make sure you're there early so you can sit down, calm yourself, and get ready mentally. You arrive at class at 1:50 p.m., which is about 10 minutes early. You sit down and go over your notes one more time. When the teacher comes in at 2 p.m., the test starts. You could say, "I got to class on time," or "I got to class early." But you could also say, "I got to class in time to go over my notes and prepare mentally." This emphasizes the action you were able to do because you arrived early. When you submit your test at 1:45 p.m., the test ends at 2 p.m., you finish on time. You answered all the questions within the time limit. Scenario 3. A travel situation. You're taking a flight to another city. Your flight leaves at 6 p.m. You need to arrive at the airport at least 2 hours before your flight, so you aim to be at the airport by 4 p.m. You plan to leave your house at 2:30 p.m., allowing time for traffic and parking. You leave at 2:30 p.m., you drive through the city, and you arrive at the airport at 4 p.m. You parked your car and walked into the terminal at 4:05 p.m. You got to the airport on time. You arrived at the time you planned. Now you go to check in. You stand in line and check in at 4:20 p.m. The line is moving quickly, and you're done by 4:25 p.m. You then go through security, and you're done at 4:40 p.m. You have time to walk to your gate, buy a coffee, and sit down before boarding starts at 5:20 p.m. You got to security in time to get through, go to your gate, and relax before boarding. You made it in time. Scenario 4. A work deadline situation. You're working on a project that your manager needs by Friday at 5 p.m. It's currently Thursday morning at 9 a.m. You work through Thursday and Friday morning. By Friday at 3 p.m., you finish the project. You review it one more time to make sure it's good quality. You submit it at 4:45 p.m. You submitted it on time. You met the deadline. You also submitted it in time for your manager to do a quick review before they leave at 5 p.m. That's a bonus. But imagine a different scenario. You're distracted Thursday. You don't start the project until Friday at 3 p.m. You work as fast as you can. You finish at 4:55 p.m. You submit it at 4:55 p.m. You submitted it just in time. The deadline was 5 p.m., and you made it by 5 minutes. Did you also submit it on time? Technically, yes, because you met the deadline. But the phrase just in time emphasizes how close you were. Scenario 5. A family dinner situation. Your family has dinner together every evening at 6 p.m. You're usually home by 5:45 p.m., which gives you time to wash your hands and sit down before dinner starts at 6 p.m. On this particular day, you arrive home at 5:50 p.m. You quickly wash your hands and sit down. Dinner starts at 6 p.m. right on time. You got home on time for dinner. You arrived early enough before dinner started. But imagine another scenario. You're stuck in traffic and worried you might miss dinner. You call your family and say, "I'm on my way, but I might be late." But then the traffic clears and you make it home at 5:59 p.m. You sit down just as your family is serving the food. You made it just in time. You got there by the skin of your teeth. Scenario 6. A meeting situation. You have a team meeting at 2 p.m. on Thursday. It's a virtual meeting, so you can join from your office. You have back-to-back meetings all morning, the last meeting before your 2 p.m. Meeting ends at 1:55 p.m. You quickly close your laptop, log out, and join the team meeting at exactly 2 p.m. You joined on time. The meeting started at 2 p.m. and you were there. But imagine another scenario. Your previous meeting runs late. It doesn't end until 2:05 p.m. You quickly log in and join the team meeting at 2:05 p.m. The meeting started at 2 p.m. So technically, you were 5 minutes late, but the meeting was just getting started and your manager hadn't finished the opening remarks yet. You got there in time to hear the important announcements and information. You missed the very beginning, but you didn't miss anything critical. Let me now discuss some cultural considerations about time and punctuality. This is interesting because different cultures have different attitudes toward time. In some cultures, being on time is extremely important. In many Western countries, especially in business settings, being on time is a sign of respect and professionalism. If a meeting is scheduled for 10 a.m., people are expected to be there at or before 10 a.m. Being late is considered disrespectful. In other cultures, there's a more relaxed attitude toward time. Arriving a little late might be acceptable or even expected. For example, in some Latin American and Mediterranean cultures, socializing might start at a flexible time, and arriving 15 or 30 minutes late might be perfectly normal. In business and professional settings worldwide, however, being on time is almost universally important. If you're going to a job interview, a business meeting, or a professional event, you should be on time. This is true regardless of your cultural background. When learning English, understanding these cultural nuances is helpful. English is spoken in many countries around the world, and different English-speaking communities might have different expectations about time. However, the phrases on time and in time are used consistently across all English-speaking communities. The most important thing is to be aware of your specific situation. If you're in a professional setting, being on time is always important. If you're in a casual social setting, the expectations might be more relaxed. Let me now give you a comprehensive list of mistakes to avoid. I've mentioned some of these before, but I want to consolidate them here. Mistake to avoid number 1, don't say, "I am in time," without completing the thought. You need to say what the in time applies to. I am in time to help, or I am in time for the meeting, or I am in time to see the movie. Incomplete statements sound awkward. Mistake to avoid number 2, don't use on time and in time interchangeably. They mean different things. Think about whether you're talking about a schedule, on time, or a result, in time. Mistake to avoid number 3, don't say, "I came in time to work." This is a common mistake. The correct sentence is, "I got to work on time," or "I arrived at work on time." Work is a place with scheduled hours, so use on time. Mistake to avoid number 4. Don't forget to add context after using in time. When you use in time, make sure it's clear what event or action you arrived early enough for. For example, "I got there in time to catch the bus" is clear. "I got there in time" by itself is vague. Mistake to avoid number 5. Don't overuse "just in time." This phrase has drama and emphasis. If you use it too much, it loses its impact. Reserve it for situations that really were close calls. Mistake to avoid number 6. Don't say, "I finished on time," if you mean you finished just barely before the deadline with no time to spare. You should say, "I finished just in time," to emphasize how close it was. Mistake to avoid number 7. Don't confuse in time with in the time. In the time refers to a duration. I did 3 things in the time it took you to do 1. But in time refers to arriving early enough. These are different. Mistake to avoid number 8. Don't forget about the pattern in time for noun. This is a very common and useful pattern. In time for lunch, in time for the meeting, in time for the party. Practice this pattern. Mistake to avoid number 9. Don't use on time to mean finally or at last. On time doesn't have that meaning. You might say, I finally got my promotion, but not, I got my promotion on time if you mean you finally got it after waiting a long time. Mistake to avoid number 10. Don't ignore the context of the conversation. Sometimes native speakers use these phrases more loosely than the strict grammatical rules would suggest. But as you're learning, focus on the correct usage first, and then you can understand variations. Now I want to give you some more advanced practice exercises. These are designed to help you think about these phrases in complex, real-world situations. Advanced Exercise 1. A complicated work situation. You're working on a big project. The deadline is Friday at 5 p.m. Your manager said the project needs to be done by then so she can review it over the weekend and present it to the executives on Monday morning. It's Thursday evening at 6 p.m. and you finished the project. You submitted at 6:30 p.m. Thursday evening. Did you submit it on time? Well, the deadline was Friday at 5 p.m., so technically you're early. You submitted it on time. You met the deadline by submitting it early. But did you submit it in time for your manager to review it? Yes, definitely. You submitted it in time for your manager to have all of Friday to review it and give you feedback if needed. But now imagine a different scenario. You work all day Friday. You don't finish until 4:55 p.m. You quickly submit it at 4:58 p.m. Did you submit it on time? Yes, you met the deadline. Did you submit it in time for your manager to review it? Not really. Your manager now has to review it quickly or wait until Monday. You submitted it just in time to meet the deadline, but not in time for your manager's preferred timeline. Advanced Exercise 2. A complex travel situation. You're flying to another city. Your flight leaves at 2 p.m. You want to be at the airport at least 2 hours early, so 12 p.m. Your plan is to leave your house at 10:30 a.m., which should give you plenty of time for traffic and parking. But you have a doctor's appointment at 10 a.m. The doctor says your appointment will take about 30 minutes, so you'd be done by 10:30 a.m. That's cutting it close. You decide to leave for the airport at 10:45 a.m., which means you'll arrive at the airport around 12:15 p.m. or 12:30 p.m., depending on traffic. You'll check in quickly and go through security. Security takes about 15 minutes. You're through by 12:45 p.m. Your gate is about a 10-minute walk away, so you arrive at your gate at 12:55 p.m. Boarding starts at 1:15 p.m. and you're early. You got to the gate in time to board the flight. You also got to the airport on time. You were there before boarding time. But you didn't arrive as early as you originally planned. You got there by the skin of your teeth. Advanced Exercise 3. A school situation with multiple deadlines. You have 3 assignments due on Friday. Assignment A is due by 3 p.m. Assignment B is due by 5 p.m. Assignment C is due by 11:59 p.m. It's Friday morning, and you work on all 3 assignments. You finish Assignment A at 2 p.m. and submit it. You submitted it on time. You submitted it in time for your teacher to possibly review it before the next class. You finish Assignment B at 4:30 p.m. and submit it. You submitted it on time and in time because you met the deadline with time to spare. You finish Assignment C at 10 p.m. and submit it. You submitted it just in time. You submitted it only an hour and 59 minutes before the deadline. You made it, but it was close. Advanced Exercise 4. A social situation with multiple events. You have dinner plans with a friend at 6 p.m. Before that, you're attending a work happy hour from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. The work happy hour is downtown, and the restaurant where you're having dinner with your friend is also downtown, but 10 minutes away from the happy hour. You plan to leave the happy hour at 5:25 p.m., which should get you to the restaurant at 5:35 p.m., giving you a few minutes to spare before 6 p.m. But the happy hour runs late. People are having fun, and your boss is still talking to everyone. You don't leave until 5:40 p.m. Now you're worried you might be late for dinner. You quickly get a ride and arrive at the restaurant at 5:58 p.m. You arrive just in time. You arrived early enough to sit down, but you didn't have time to relax or freshen up. You just barely made it. You could tell your friend, "I got here just in time. The happy hour ran late, and I wasn't sure if I'd make it on time." Your friend replies, "Good, you still got here in time for us to have our full dinner together." We have now covered everything you need to know about on time versus in time and related time expressions. We've covered the basic rules, the patterns, the differences in nuance and feeling, real conversations, mistakes to avoid, and advanced applications. Let me give you one final summary. On time is about schedules and punctuality. Use it when you're talking about meeting an expected time. In time is about results and achievements. Use it when you're talking about getting somewhere or doing something early enough to accomplish a goal. Just in time is about drama and close calls. Right on time. Use it when you want to emphasize that things were very close. Right on time is about perfect timing. Use it when things happen smoothly and as planned. These phrases are used constantly in English, in both professional and casual settings. Mastering them will make a significant difference in how naturally you speak and how well native speakers understand you. Remember, learning English is not a race. It's a journey. Enjoy the process. Make mistakes. Learn from them. Practice regularly. Listen to how native speakers use these phrases, and gradually, using them correctly will become automatic. I hope this lesson has been helpful to you. You now have a deep understanding of these important time-related phrases. You have examples, patterns, practice exercises, and real-life scenarios. You understand the nuances and the cultural considerations. You know what mistakes to avoid. You're equipped to use these phrases confidently in any situation. Thank you for spending this time with me learning English. Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep speaking. Your English is getting better every day. Before you go, I want to remind you to subscribe to this podcast. We have many more lessons coming up, covering different challenging English topics. Check out our podcast playlist for more episodes. Share this episode with a friend who might find it helpful. And don't forget to come back for our next lesson. I'm so glad you've made it to the end of this lesson. This was a comprehensive, in-depth look at on time versus in time, and I really hope it has helped you understand these phrases better. Please take time to review this material, practice the exercises, and try using these phrases in your own sentences and conversations. Remember, the best way to learn English is through exposure and practice. Listen to podcasts, watch movies and TV shows, read books and articles, and speak English as much as you can. Every time you hear or use these phrases, you're getting better at English. If you have any questions, or if you'd like me to explain anything further, please let me know in the comments section below. I read all the comments, and I love hearing from my listeners. Tell me about a time when you used one of these phrases, or tell me about a time when you struggled with them. Your feedback helps me create better content for you. Please don't forget to subscribe to Lily's English Fluency podcast. By subscribing, you'll get access to all of our lessons. You'll get notifications when we post new episodes, and you'll be part of our growing community of English learners. Also, check out our podcast playlist for all of our previous episodes. There are so many great lessons there covering different aspects of English language learning. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like and share it with your friends, your classmates, your coworkers, or anyone you know who is learning English. Your support helps us reach more people and helps us continue to create quality content. Thank you so much for learning with me today. I'm so proud of you for taking the time to improve your English. Keep practicing, keep learning, and keep speaking. Your English is getting better every single day. See you in the next lesson.